Welcome back to the GSMC Golf Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We're going back with our second segment of the night talking about the U.S. Open recap and superlatives. But before I get into that, I would love to remind you guys that if you would like to become a bigger part of the show than you already are, use the gsmcpodcast.net tips and donations link. If you want to ask me a question, you can put it in a box. It'll appear across the screen, and it also just helps out the creators here at the GSMC Sports Network a lot. Without further ado, we're going to get right into this second segment talking about the U.S. Open recap and superlatives from the U.S. Open, as we do after every single weekend on a Tuesday. We talk about who played the best at all aspects of the game. But just for the recap, and we talked about it a little bit, but we're gonna need to start with Rory McIlroy. Going into 15, this guy had a 2-stroke lead on Bryson DeChambeau. He bogeys 15. He misses a 3-foot putt on 16. And he misses a 3-foot putt on 18. And he melts down, as people are calling it, and loses the U.S. Open to extend his major drought past a decade. He hasn't won a major since the 2014 PGA Championship. He won the 2011 U.S. Open. Rory McIlroy at one time in his career was looked at as this guy has the potential to be one of the greatest of all time because he's so young and he's winning so many. Now Rory McIlroy is 35 years old. He has not won a major since 2014. He is still one of the best golfers in the world. But you gotta assume 35 years old, coming up on a rapid decline maybe. I'd be worried for him. I am truly worried for him. And it's unfortunate because I do want to see him win another one. And I did want to see... Here was the battle in my mind on Sunday. I love what Bryson DeChambeau is doing, and I think that he is a fantastic... I think just he is a fantastic vocal leader for golf and for what golf I want golf the direction to go into, and a win at Pinehurst would go very far into, it was going to get the topic of the U.S. Olympics that I looked at going into the weekend. That topic was going to need to be brought to head. Of course, the just official World Golf Rankings, of course, the FedEx Cup rankings. If he was allowed to get FedEx Cup rankings, I would think that he is in safely. He's in the top 30 just on these 3 major performances, and then on top of that, everything that he's missing out, not being able to play in signature events, not being able to play just on tour every week. I do really want Bryson DeChambeau to play on tour, and I think that it will be very important. And eventually he will, and I can't wait for that day to happen, and for Brooks Koepka to be back on tour, and for Dustin Johnson to be back on tour, and for maybe even Phil Mickelson, although he might just be playing in the PGA Champions events. But nonetheless, Rory McIlroy, it was so hard to watch because that putt on... it's here for me, that 18 putt was very difficult. And I understand how he missed that one. It was a downhill putt that broke left to right. And it broke left to right by 2 balls. He didn't expect it to break that much. I think he didn't respect it enough. It's just so unfortunate because he had... there could never be another perfect opportunity. He has 4 holes to play, and if he bogeys 2, he's going into a playoff. If he bogeys 50% of the holes, he's going into a playoff. Let alone if he gets a birdie at any point, he's winning this U.S. Open. And it's on 15, 16, and 18, which are difficult holes, but 18 is the 11th, or is the 8th easiest hole on the course. 17, 9th easiest, and 15 and 16 are tied for 5th hardest. So... You have an opportunity here, and it's right there, and you can see how crushed he was after Bryson DeChambeau made that putt on 18 for him to win, which was not an easy putt, by the way. It still was about 5 feet, and he definitely could have missed that to force or to go into a playoff. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Rory McIlroy. It's, of course, the conversation that we have to have, though. So close, but so far as he loses out on another major champion. Now there is still another opportunity. There's the Tour Championship or the Open Championship that is played in Scotland this year, I believe it is, which of course he always loved. It goes back to Great Britain, where he's from Northern Ireland. Right across the sea there would be Scotland. So for Rory McIlroy, he'll have an opportunity here, but unfortunate. We won't see him at the Travelers Championship. He said the next event that he will play is the Scottish Open, which I understand that one. He's taking a few weeks off from golf. That's soul crushing. I mean, he plays 4 great rounds of golf. 65 round 1. I believe he was the day 1 leader. 72 on round 2, and then 69 on round 3, and then he was on pace for a 66 round 4, which would have had him win by 2 strokes. He could have won by 3 strokes. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It really is for Rory McIlroy, but I'm glad that Bryson DeChambeau won as well. So, going throughout the rest of the leaderboard, Tony Finau had a fantastic Sunday to surge to tied for 3rd with Patrick Cantlay. Another great aspect of this tournament, it was Patrick Cantlay and Rory McIlroy in the final pairing on Sunday. Of course, the Ryder Cup champion, or the Ryder Cup controversy that happened last year was a factor going into Sunday. Those two guys really don't like each other. So a little fun to see those two in a pairing on a Sunday in a major championship. I don't think I saw those guys say a single word to each other all day. So, but Patrick Cantlay finished tied for 3rd. After he was tied with Rory McIlroy after the day 1 lead, he had just 3 mediocre days of golf, 71, 70, 70, shooting par or over on the final 3 days. He definitely could have made a run, but that's just Pinehurst, man. That's this golf course. You're not going to be able to play. You're going to have a couple rounds that are just a little stinky here on this golf course, and Patrick Cantlay definitely did. Matthew Pavon also had a fantastic weekend. He finished 3 under at solo 5th. Hideki Matsuyama had a fantastic Friday that got him to 2 under. He finishes even, or he finishes 2 under 6th place at this U.S. Open. Russell Henley, Xander Schauffele, Sam Burns, Davis Thompson, Corey Connors round out the top 10. Sergio Garcia at age, how old is Sergio Garcia nowadays? I've got to see. Sergio Garcia is 44 years old, and he finished tied for 12th with Ludwig Berg, who had a kind of blow up on. Honestly, he was my. Of course, you guys heard on Thursday that I had him winning after Thursday. He had a good round 2, and then he had blow-ups on round 3 and round 4, 73-73 each day. So his name wasn't really talked about going into that final day on Sunday and throughout Sunday, but he definitely had an opportunity but just missed out. Other names that stand out to me, of course, Brooks Koepka finishes 6 over, tied for 26th. But Neil Shipley, of course, 6 over, tied for 26th. We'll be talking about him in our 5th segment of the day. He had a fantastic event. Of course, it's 6 over, but it's still a good event. He finished tied for 26th at a major championship. Very impressive. But other guys that stand out to me on the other end, Scotty Scheffler almost missed the cut. Jordan Spieth almost missed the cut. Both of them finished 8 over. Both of them were pretty far back going into Saturday and Sunday. Scotty Scheffler should have missed the cut. The cut line just barely moved at the last second to get him in, and he finishes tied for 41st. Going into a tournament where he was favored after he was second favored after the first day. He never really looked like he had an opportunity to win this one. We'll see if he's able to, recapture that major success he had at the Masters, at the Open Championship. But he needs to start winning other majors other than the Masters. Of course, he has 2 Masters under his belt, but he hasn't really performed at the other majors yet in his career. So we'll see at the Open Championship in Scotland if he is able to replicate the success he had earlier in the season at the Open Championship. Of course, he is still playing fantastic golf. He just won the Memorial. Not worried about his game where it's at right now, but maybe worried about his, the other end of the game. But going into the superlatives for the weekend, I have Off the tee with the driver, it's Rory McIlroy, of course, winning this one. I talked about it a little bit in that first segment. He gained 9/10 of strokes off the tee, which is second in the field. He was second in distance, third in accuracy for first overall with the driver on the weekend. Second in distance, third in accuracy is insane. Usually you see guys that have fantastic accuracy don't have that great of distance. Guys with great distance don't have the best accuracy. But no, for him throughout the entire weekend, second and third in the respective categories, very impressive. With the irons, I had Tony Finau, 1.866 strokes gained on approach, which is a full stroke gained over Rory McIlroy's off the tee. Very, very impressive iron game from Tony Finau. That's really what separated him here and what got him into a second place or into a third place for this weekend. He was first with strokes gained on approach. He had 2/3 of his hit 2/3 of his greens in regulation, which was fourth, and he was fourth in proximity to hole. So he hit a lot of greens. He put it close to the pin. Really gave him a shot at a lot of birdies throughout the weekend. Wedges, I have Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson DeChambeau with wedges is something I don't think truly, I never thought I would say that. His entire career, it's been talking about that driver and how he hits his 8-iron further than I can hit my driver in real life, and that is actually a true fact. I'm not too proud of that one, but nonetheless, Bryson DeChambeau, fantastic play with the wedges around the green is something that I never thought would be an aspect of his game that he would be able to be impressive at, but he absolutely was here, tied for 10th in all scrambling / wedge stats. Pretty much, but it's not just the stats. It's that bunker shot on 18. I saw that he gained an entire. I think it was like 9/10 of a strokes. He gained 9/10 of strokes on the field with just that bunker shot on 18, which is absolutely ridiculous. That basically means that everybody from that position bogeyed, and he saved par somehow. It is the most difficult shot in golf, a 60-yard bunker shot. He had no fear. And I actually remember, I remember watching the I remember that I was watching the U.S. Open, and I literally said out loud to the people I was watching it with, I said, that's a closed club face. He's going for the pin, because the commentators, everybody else that was watching was saying, oh no, you just got to get it onto the green, try to 2-putt, take this into a playoff. I saw in the club face how closed it was and that he was trying to go for a little bit more distance on it. Yeah, and he absolutely flew that, and just that shot alone got him the best wedges of the weekend, and I'm very, very comfortable with saying that. Russell Henley takes away the best putter from the weekend, 2.426 strokes gained from the putter. That's insane. Triple the strokes gained from his putter as Rory McIlroy had from his driver. Yeah, that's insane. He averaged 1.6 putts. Averaging anything less than 2 putts is very impressive. It means that you didn't 3-putt a lot and you were able to put down your 1 putts when they were close. 1.605 is very great. It is way above tour average. Very impressive, especially on greens that they were playing on today. Very impressive, Russell Henley with the putter. I had my most surprising be Mathieu Pavon. Mathieu Pavon kind of has come out of nowhere these past few weeks and has played some good golf. Looking at his profile, playing some golf that I really haven't seen him play in his career. The 31-year-old from Toulouse, France, has, of course, finishing fifth in this U.S. Open. He was tied for 12th at the Masters. He finished third at Pebble Beach. He was first at the Farmers Insurance this year. Of course, cut from the previous 2 events, the PGA Championship and the Memorial Tournament. But still, very impressive what he was able to do here at the U.S. Open. Very impressive what he was able to do earlier this year. Of course, winning a tournament earlier this year is great for Mathieu Pavon. He is the most surprising. And the most disappointing, I have Justin Thomas. I feel like you could have gone with a lot of guys. Scotty Scheffler would have made sense for most disappointing here. But I do go with Justin Thomas as 11 over through 2 days, missing the cut. We talked about him a few weeks ago, I want to say, talking about how his game's just not where he needs it to be. He's pretty far off after a pretty good year in 2023 and a great year in 2022, but he's been on a steady decline for the better half of a decade. So we'll see if Justin Thomas is able to regain, that 2022 PGA Championship performance, or he even played great in the Ryder Cup in last year. So we'll see from Justin Thomas if he's able to bounce back from an 11 over through 2 days missed cut at the U.S. Open. But that'll wrap it up for our second segment of the night. When I come back, we will be talking about the Team USA Olympic roster has been announced here on the GSMC Golf Podcast.